Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season 1 finale of Dealing with Mikadono Sisters is a Breeze. Great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're immediately picking up where the last episode left off, and as Miwa is heading towards her third match, this being the deciding factor on whether or not she's closer to defending her title or about to lose it to Sakura. There, she's got Nico, Kazuki, and you all there cheering for her, and obviously it means the world to her. So they're like, yeah, we're going to be cheering for you and good luck. But Miwa's coming from the perspective of, even if I lose my title, it's going to be okay. And they're like, wait, what are you talking about? Because obviously for them, it's always strive for the best, strive farther, and there's a lot of stuff that their dads kind of implemented into them. But for Miwa, it's just kind of thinking like, yeah, even if I don't fail, it's going to be okay. Like, but, and they're like, why would you have that perspective? And she's like, not telling, and walks away. And she's like, right. She's thinking about her dad, her sisters, and then also you. Because she's like, I want to see that face. So I'm going to win because I want to see him happy and proud of me. So that's her extra motivation. So she's going into this match. And I love that just as this match starts, we learn a little background about Sakura. How it's like, once again, it's like for her, it's like, I see it. The aura that I came to see as my rival in Miwa, what I hadn't been seeing in these previous two matches, she's kind of back to herself. An aura, an element, like something about herself that I never had, that I always lacked. And it's like, as a little kid, she's always been the clumsy type. She could never really do anything quote unquote right. So even while she was playing, with other kids, eventually like one girl, and maybe others felt this way, was like, I don't want to play with Sakura anymore because she can't do anything. Like, she's bad at playing and doing stuff. And that made her very self-conscious, And then one day she was taken to see her grandparents, and she's drawing what her grandpa thinks are giraffes, and she's like, they're cats. And he freaks out. He's like, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. And then he's the one that introduced her to Shogi. And I thought that was such a sweet and wholesome thing, because she's trying to move a pawn piece, and he's like, no, they don't move that way. They can only move one point at a time. But the metaphor of like, yeah, but pawn pieces always move forward, never move backwards. Like, they always strive to keep moving forward. Might be the weakest piece on the board, but and I love that. And especially when he talks about, and when they cross over to the other side, they get promoted. It's like someone, starting off low, like a pawn getting, upgraded to like a 5-star general, and he's getting super hyped about it. And Sakura's grandma's like, honey, calm down. He's like, he got too hyped about it. But Sakura really enjoyed all of this and wanted to learn. And eventually she beat him at Shogi, and she continued. Like, the thing is, comparing Sakura, despite her being this klutz, she is really good at the game. And we saw her like tearing through like junior competitions and stuff like that. The problem is, like, it's comparing it like, someone like Miwa, who's just like very naturally gifted. But it's that conversation of natural talent versus hard work. But also, Miwa does work hard, and she's even more motivated now to work even harder. But I thought it was, like I said, the thematic element of Sakura seeing herself as that pawn. That, like, right, I might be the weakest piece on the board, but I'm always moving forward. I'm trying my best. I'm working harder and harder to prove myself. And then, like, obviously that progress she was kind of making, and making herself feel better about herself, took a step back the moment she crossed paths with Miwa. Miwa, like, defeated her effortlessly, didn't even use up all the time that she had. And it was like a resounding defeat, and it kind of crushed her. And we see later on some girls are teasing her for her score. So I wonder, were her scores already kind of like that? Or is it because of her defeat to Miwa that kind of like shook her to her core? Because she had played this game, found something she was good at, and like was progressing. And then like she hit a massive roadblock. And, the girls are teasing her, but then like Miwa came over and defended her by being like, yo, this and this is what you did wrong, and this is what you did wrong. Rather than taking time like doing this, how about you memorize like my moves and stuff like that, and kind of scared them away. And Sakura was in tears, and Miwa's like, no, just ignore them. Like, what you did. The fact is, she's like, I've never seen anyone utilize their pawns the way you do that. Yes, the pawns are the weakest pieces on the board, but at the same time, like, you, like, and I think it plays into her strategy, because that's part of her personality, because she sees a lot of herself in the pawns. So she sees and takes care of them with such delicacy, because she recognizes how important those pieces are. They are constantly underestimated because they're the weakest, and they can surprise you. And it's like, yeah, the way you counterattack, the way you use them, and hearing that praise from Miwa inspired her. It's like, okay, going forward, you're going to be my rival. And that's what sparked all of this. Miwa was her own undoing, trying to be there for Sakura in that moment. She's like, oh my God, I interacted with a weirdo and stuff like that. What did I get myself into? And it's funny, even though you push Sakura away, you kind of embraced you, even though he's kind of like the same energy. I mean, as we clarified like 2 episodes ago, Sakura and you are so much alike. It's just funny how you embrace one more than you do the other. So... But that's also the thing, too, of like Sakura is never going to be too far behind of your approval because you approve you. So you will never be able to approve one without the other. It's just a matter of time until Sakura fully wears you down. But I love that backstory and getting that just as the match goes on. And it's like, I won't lie to you, I was nervous. I was like pretty sure I'm like, Miwa's going to win all the way through. But I was still kind of nervous. I was like, I actually don't know if they're going to make it so that she loses. I'd assume like even if she does lose, it'd be way later in the story. Just because I'm sure that would complicate things between their fathers, like his expectations, what he wants from them and stuff like that. So I figured that much, but I wasn't quite sure. So, but she does the signature lick and she wins. And from there, she wins the fourth one, and then it comes down to the fifth and final one, the deciding factor. 2 wins, 2 losses on both sides, and it comes down to this final match to decide it all. But Miwa didn't want Kazuki or Miwa there or Nico there because she didn't want them to miss out on what they had to do just for her sake. But I love that Yu was over there. He's got like the fan and he's got the jacket, like win Miwa win, type of thing. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go there and I'll give it my all. And they're like, you're not going to do that. And he's like, I'm sorry. I don't know how to interpret that, whether that's like hey, like you're gonna be a distraction for Miwa if you go there, go balls to the wall crazy like you want to. Or is it also the subject of you're not going to give her more praise and cheer for her more than you like give us, like you're going to give it your all to her but not to us. I'm sure there's multiple ways you can interpret that. I feel like it's a little bit of 2, but maybe it's mainly just 1. So, but either way, each one, Nico is pushing herself more during her training. Kazuki during her performances. Yu cooking her a special meal, and that the end result is Miwa wins, and she's getting asked all these questions about like, oh my God, you were able to turn things around, but she ignores all the media because she sees you there, and she runs over. She's like, you, hey, and he's crying, and she's like, oh my God, like he's crying. She's like, I wasn't trying to make him cry or anything, and she's like, okay, take breaths in and out, and he starts basically doing the pregnancy, he, who, and she's like, not that breathing, but it's like, but then she sees his smile, and for her, it's like that's what I wanted to see, and grabs his face and kisses his forehead. I love it all coming full circle. Literally did this, and I love the parallel they show her doing the same thing to the treat last episode too. And just as Nico and Kazuki walk up, seeing her do that, and it's not until she finally snaps out of it. She's like, crap, I did that. I was just thinking about it. I was stupid. Then she meets this couple, which, she knows because apparently she did like an overseas exchange program type of thing. And she speaks fluent English, and she saw this as an opportunity. She was like, oh yeah, that's how they do it overseas. If anything, you'd most likely see something like that in maybe France, I would assume. Maybe France or Italy seem like more likely than like what seems like would be potentially be America point. But she's using this as an excuse to be like, yeah, that's how they interact overseas. It doesn't mean anything. And Yu believes it, but Kazuki and Nico are like, oh, that's such BS. But because Yu buys it, we'll believe it because he's such a simpleton. And he ends up, but her sisters say like, yo, we're very proud of you, and admit the world to her. She goes over, gives them each a kiss on the cheek, and Yu takes the photo. She's like, yeah, I want to take these photos with my fangirls. And they're like, when did we ever say that we're fangirls? And it's a really cute family photo, and it's just, I love it. And you see Sakura watching from far away, because for her, despite losing, she's like, for the first time, it feels like Miwa did see me, and for her that's like an accomplishment. And her looking at you, seeing that line of, why is someone as mediocre like you there? And she smiles, and she's walking away. She's like, yeah, a pawn can make its way to the other side of the board and finally find their time in the spotlight, meaning like you might be kind of in the support role now, but eventually both speaking for herself and you, that they both will find their way into the spotlight eventually. And I think that is beautiful. Um, and after that, that obviously we see their respective situations where you is preparing stuff for them. Like Nico was working out, Miwa is training against an AI, and then you prepares like this smoothie for Kazuki, and she's like, "Oh, it doesn't taste that great." He's like, "Sorry, I was so focused on the nutrition of it, I didn't think about the taste." She's like, "Here, you taste it then." And he's like, "Okay." And then a moment she's like, "Wait, that'd be an indirect kiss," which is just funny that you're tripping about that because that should be nothing considering you already accidentally kiss, directly accidentally kiss. But either way, she's just kind of like, nope, and grabs it. He brings Nico a towel, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's got this like floral scent that you really like. And he's like, oh, he's like surprised at, he's like, he said something about it being cute, and she's almost like, he's like, yeah, the fragrance. And she's pissed. She's like, why would you say anything about the fragrance being cute? Who talks like that? And then like Miwa, he ended up preparing a dessert, and he's like, well, I'll feed it to you. She's like, what? No. And so all of them are tripping about that, you doing what he did. He's like, unbelievable. But yeah, they sit down and they're all together, and this is beautiful thing where he's like, the note left by his mom and just her like wanting him to have a family. They're sitting around talking about, it's nothing important, it's just the smiling and laughing together, even on like the small things, and just thinking where they started at the beginning of the season to be where they are all together now. And he's like, I don't even know if this is what my mom wanted, but for him, it's like, maybe staying here, I will find the answer to what my mom wanted. And I think you're already kind of there, but it will go even further, because I think it's not just about what your mom wants, it's about what you're getting out of this. And when you finally feel the most comfortable, like this is a home and that this is a family, because I think probably even at this point, he probably still has his doubts, and, they haven't said anything about him not being a part of the family. So, but until he feels like he truly, truly belongs, and I think he's tiptoeing there, but I don't know if he necessarily fully feels that yet. So, and so like obviously it's like the next day they're all going off, and he hadn't had a chance to say, have a nice day to them. But then like he walks out and they're all waiting for him. He's like, hey, come on, hurry up, we're gonna be late. And they all tell him see you later, and he smiles and waves to them and is like, have a nice day. And it's like, once again, it all coming to a head to where it is right now is so beautiful. And then obviously we have the outro playing, and I love like the puzzle pieces coming together to basically be like a photo of all four of them together. Like they took at least one of all four of them together like that after Miwa's wins. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. And just the song is such a good and beautiful song too. Like it, a lot of animes, maybe a lot more animes do that than I recognize. And I think they do, and I just don't always pay attention of like, in like their finales, whether or not there's more to the series or not, or anime or not, but like they'll typically take the opening, and then they'll use that as an ending. It's happened like yesterday, and this is the second thing I'm watching today that's done that, So it's probably a pretty common thing that I've just never paid attention to. But we get a post-credit scene where Sakura is staying over. I don't think it's a permanent thing, but she's like trying to learn Miwa's strategies and what goes into it, so she's going to be staying over. So I'm like, okay, that's fascinating. And Miwa's just like, how did this come to be? Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing, but I think it's just kind of like Sakura being the recurring mainstay that she is, that she'll probably stop by the Mikadono residence on a regular basis from time to time. And it's like, well, also her staying over and you too, and that's probably going to give them an opportunity to grow and her get closer to him, which is going to cause some jealousy amongst not only Miwa but Kazuki and Nico as well. So I just thought that all around was just like a beautiful way to wrap up the season. So at the time of recording this, the episode just came out like a couple hours ago. So there's no news at the time of recording this whether or not there'll be a season 2. Fingers crossed, hoping there is, because I adore this show so much. It's just a show that always makes me like so excited to see where things go, and just puts a smile on my face. I just think it's like a really cute and adorable show, and I just think I just like the storyline being what it is. Sure, there's plenty of other like romantic kind of like comedies of this ilk and stuff like that, but it's just like this is the first one I've watched of this type of style, and just like I said, there's just so much you pull from it, and it makes me just like I don't know, it just kind of gets me like, I don't know if giddy would be the right word. Giddy might be the right word, but it just puts us, like I said, it's fun and just adorable and cute, and it puts a smile on my face. So obviously, at the time of recording this, the manga is still ongoing. It is currently at 16 volumes. Once again, that's based on Wikipedia. There might be like chapters outside of those 16 volumes that are, published and stuff like that. But yeah, so I also don't know how much of the manga this covered. I doubt it covered a good chunk of it. If anything, it probably, once again, maybe first couple volumes. So there is still plenty left to adapt. Like even if we go on like the higher end of, oh, they managed to like adapt maybe like 3 to 5 volumes, there's still over a dozen left that could be adapted in like another 2 seasons if they wanted to. So I do hope we get a second season, because I'd love to see the continuation of this story and see where everything takes us. I was actually kind of surprised we didn't get a final appearance from their dad, but I'm sure he probably gets sprinkled in more and more as the storyline continues. So hopefully this is not all we get on the anime front, but even if it is, great 12 episodes, like I said, cute, adorable, lots of fun, and a lot of like powerful like meaning and about like connection and family. And I think that I'm a sucker for all that type of stuff, like friendship and family and love. Like, I'm a sucker for all that. So a lot of powerful themes of that, and just how the story was concocted. Like I said, I think it's great. So even if this is all we get for the anime, at the very least the manga's there. I don't know how much of the manga has been translated into English, but that's kind of neither here nor there. But yeah, like at least the story can be continued in the reading of the manga if you get the chance and stuff like that. But like I said, fingers crossed, hopefully we get a second season. So in usual fashion, I'll leave this as like a season 1 finale title for the video, but I can always change that later if this becomes like a finale for the anime. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I've kind of run my mouth off long enough. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.